Hey everyone, hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Shelly and today I'm going to be reviewing the entire Raven cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. Now the first book, The Raven Boys, was first published in 2012 and a book came out incrementally up until the last book, which is called The Raven King, and it came out in 2016. Now she also has another trilogy set in this world called the Dreamers Trilogy, in which the last book is being released or has been released in the last couple of weeks, and I have yet to start that trilogy, but I do plan on reading it. There are 4 books in this series, and yeah, let's just hop right into it. I came to this series because my friend Fraser of the channel Springboard Thought was planning on rereading this entire world that Maggie Stiefvater created, the Raven cycle, the Raven world. I actually don't know what the world is called, but in preparation to read the final book in this world that she has created. And so I decided to join him for that journey because I was feeling a little bit bored with my reading, and it sounded like a fun journey, and I have been really enjoying diving back into the feeling that fantasy is giving me. I was one of those kids that grew up reading Harry Potter. Harry Potter was my book. It was my world. I actually tried to reread Harry Potter more recently and I just couldn't get into it. So it's definitely one of those books that I think I will keep in childhood and my young adult years. Then I kind of fell off the fantasy reading. I definitely got more into dystopian fiction when the height of dystopian fiction was The Hunger Games and The Maze Runner. And then I quickly turned into a classics / literary fiction reader, and I left that world behind. But more recently, I've been enjoying the almost childlike feeling that fantasy has, really kind of tickles in me. And so I was really excited to jump into The Raven Boys. And let me tell you, The Raven Boys I'm actually not going to tell you. Wait a second. I don't want to give away my final thoughts at the beginning. I started off with The Raven Boys, and in this book we meet Gansey, who is a young man attending a very hoity-toity academy called Aglenby. He has a group of friends. His friends are quiet and sort of somber Noah. Then we have Adam, who grew up not as a regular Aglenby boy, who is usually someone who has deep pockets, who grew up with a silver spoon in their mouth. Is that the right phrase? Who grew up with money, basically. And Adam is not one of those people. He actually is on a scholarship attending Aglenby. And then we have angry, angsty Ronan. And these 4 young men are friends. They are in some ways did I read this? Yes, I did. Okay, they are living together in a warehouse converted into basically a loft studio. I mean, you really have to suspend your disbelief, but that's the fun of it all. That's the fun of it all. Once you suspend your disbelief, it's just a whole heck of a lot of fun. So Gansey, I'm still not really sure. Gansy. I feel like it would be Gansey. I feel like it's Gansey, but if you pronounce it straight on, it would be Gansey. So Gansey is really, really into magic, and he is on this mission to find this person called Glendower, because Glendower apparently grants wishes, essentially. He is on this mission and he's been on it for a little while by the time we meet him. Meanwhile, they actually befriend someone else, and she's got a whole heck of a life of her own. Her name is Blue, and Blue lives with her mother and her aunts, and they are all like tarot readers. They are all a little bit they have magic. They can see into the future. There is definitely a magical side to Blue's life. And so Blue, not actually having any powers of her own, gets together with Gansey, not actually physically, because if she kisses her true love, he will die, and we don't know if that's Gansey or another one of the boys. She gets together with these boys, and they end up going on adventures together and getting to know one another and supporting one another. And it is just as much about their friendship as it is about the magic in this world and the plot beats of the whole cycle. The first book is definitely the introduction to the world and to the characters and to the quirkiness and of the magic system. It starts off sort of semi-magical, and then it definitely dives into like a magic world. I would say the first book is good. I wasn't truly totally invested in everyone because I was still learning how the magic system worked and our characters and getting to know them. I will say that immediately though, Maggie Stiefvater, she knows how to write a character. They are so sweet. They are so endearing, each and every one of them. And the way that they love each other is just magic in and of itself, which is something that I loved. The second book is where you really get cooking. So I would say that in this book, you meet my least favorite character of the whole series. I was like, but you know, I've learned that I can dislike a character and they're supposed to not be likable, and so the author is actually doing their job. And you meet one of my favorite characters of the series. There's a lot of mystery. It has the Dream Thieves in and of itself, self-contained in a story, is the best, I believe. It has the strongest story arc for all of the characters. It has a really, really strong rising action, falling action, climax, and all of that. I really felt like you were moving and grooving with the world, because ultimately you have 2 feet. You have 1 foot in this world with the Aglenby boys, with the Raven boys, and their wealth and the way that they're struggling through their own adolescent or young adult relationships. And then you have the world of Blue, in which her family members, her aunts, are trying to protect her. They have this weird job of like reading tarot cards. They're very like eccentric women. And so your feet are in both worlds, and I felt like Maggie Stiefvater does a wonderful job balancing those worlds while also plotting it out enough that keeps you reading throughout. And I felt like the world truly becomes a magical haven. Like, it's so fun. And then the last 2 books, Blue Lily Lily Blue and The Raven King, are part 1 and 2 of the finale of this world, because Blue Lily Lily Blue actually has the best action scene at the end, the most exciting, the most dynamic action scene where everything kind of comes together and it's like pow! The Raven King wraps up the friendships, ties up all the loose ends, and it is more about wrapping up the emotional lives of our 4 characters. And so it really does work as like a part 1 and part 2 of the final series, though this is like the action side of it and this is the emotional side of it. My final verdict on the whole series. Now, I think you can tell that book 2 was my favorite. I mean, I already stated that. And as a whole, I will say that the character work that Maggie Stiefvater did is wonderful. I just have such affection for these characters, and I think that a lot of it had to do with the fact that Maggie Stiefvater created characters that she herself loved. And there is something warm and dynamic and lovely about when an author writes characters that they themselves love. And I know that I've said this before and you're gonna hear me say it again, but part of the way that Blue, the girl in the books, she says a couple of times, I think, throughout the series, but definitely I know once, maybe twice, is that everybody is a little bit in love with everybody else when it comes to the Raven boys and Blue. That everybody really is looking out for each other, and their miscommunication, their arguments are really done from the place of love and not because someone is jealous or someone is being ill or that someone's turning evil or something like that. It's really because they love each other and they really want the best for each other. And I think that that's what Maggie Stiefvater wanted for this group, and that's how she felt towards them. And so I would say that this is it's a solid read. If you want something that is brain candy, that is sweet, that has some magic in it, if you're just looking for that kind of read and you want it to be quick and you want it to be fun, this is a great series to dive into. It's definitely a solid read. It brought me back to being a kid and falling in love with magic and wanting to play in that world. It brought back all of those feelings for me. So yeah, so that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And I will see you all in my next